President Yoon Suk-yeol addressed South Korea's National Assembly this morning to lay out the details of his government's 2023 budget plan and to try, at least, to gain approval from the rival political parties so they can approve it as swiftly as possible. Our editor-in-chief, Moon Connyoung, joins us live at the presidential office with more. So, Connyoung, the president's budget speech, a lot of people were saying it was far from ordinary, to say the least.
You're right, Mark. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol State of the Nation address this Tuesday proposing his administration's first budget bill was far from ordinary. In fact, it was historic in more than one way. Speaking before a barely half-full National Assembly hall, President Yoon introduced his 639 trillion won, that's roughly $444 billion budget proposal for next year, the first on-year reduction of the government's budget proposal since 2010, and the first time that a president has faced a full boycott by the opposition party at a parliamentary budget speech in constitutional history. Now, there he urged bipartisan support for his $444 billion budget, stressing that both economic and security situations face internal and external difficulties. The 2023 budget proposes to help South Korea tackle the multiple global challenges and take care of issues that affect people's livelihoods.
세계적인 고금리와 금융 불안정 상황에서 국가 재정의 건전한 관리와 국제 신인도 확보가 그 무엇보다 중요합니다.
Right, so this is to ensure a sustainable and virtuous cycle of economic growth and welfare for the vulnerable. And Mark, I want to pick up where you left off.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering, you say it's quite out of the ordinary because all those empty seats, it's rare that we see that even in the most divisive of times in South Korean politics. But maybe that's something we can talk about more on another day. But economic difficulties is something that really is facing South Korea, much like many other countries of the world right now. But what do we hear about on the national security front?
Right. So on the implications of the entire opposition party boycotting a president's parliamentary speech on budget that is never before seen, and the implications of that, we will have more on that and experts' views in our later newscast. But of course, the other pillar of President Yoon Suk-yeol administration's next year budget was the growing security challenges posed by North Korea's continuous provocations, including its recent series of ballistic missile tests that have been carried out at an unprecedented pace.
이는 유엔 안보리 결의에 대한 중대한 위반이자 국제사회에 대한 정면 도전입니다. 7차 핵실험 준비도 이미 마무리한 것으로 판단됩니다.
Well, for that, South Korea's commander-in-chief said his country remains on full alert and vowed to ramp up cooperation with its ally, the United States, and neighbor Japan, to counter any threat posed by the North, that in the framework of the trilateral security cooperation. However, he also did not fail to mention his audacious initiative offer, one that reads, should the North do decide to denuclearize and come forward for dialogue, his government will do all that it can to provide political and economic assistance. Now, mind you, North Korea has carried out 27 rounds of missile tests this year alone. President Yoon, who's now been in office for a little over 5 months, urged bipartisan cooperation in passing his government's 2023 budget plan by its constitutionally stated deadline, which falls on December 2nd this year. Mark.